So today we'll go and have this wonderful conference. This is the global leadership. So, but first, well, let's welcome God to this conference. So let's say thank you to the God for allowing us to be here today and enjoy this wonderful conference. So everybody, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Marvia. I truly appreciate you and such a powerful prayer. Thank you. Thank you. Now, everyone, can you all go ahead and unmute, please? Can you unmute your mics?
Unmuted.
Yep, unmute.
Awesome. Now, when I count to three, I want you all to say with me, I will not give up on my dreams. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I will not give up on my dreams.
Powerful. I love it. Now, today I'm going to talk to you about leadership. And first and foremost, I want to talk to you about a resilient mindset. So it's so important to shift your mindset from a negative mindset to a positive mindset and maintain what is called a resilient mindset. And so you see, we've all faced challenges and we continue to face challenges. But here's the thing, when those things do arise, we need to maintain what is called a resilient mindset. It's so important. And I have been there. I have faced challenges as well. And some of the major challenges in my life have been sexual assault and domestic violence. And also too, recently I just had a fitness challenge as well. And literally I hit my goal. I remember being in the gym and I hit my goal, and then something happened. I heard a pop. I said, what is that? What just happened? And I went to the doctor, and it happened to be my knee. And if you were to tell me that I was able to run a 5K and a 10K recently and now a half marathon in May, I would tell you, really? But here I am. I'm about to run a half marathon in May, and it's by the grace of God that I'm able to do so. And so again, if you're facing a challenge, you're not alone, and you will get through this. I believe in you. And now when we talk about leadership, write this down. This is a leadership acronym. Okay. The L in leadership is for leader. Yes, you are a leader. I believe in you, and your voice matters. And when we talk about the E in leadership, it's for extraordinary. You are extraordinary, and you are beautiful. And now when we talk about the A in leadership, it's for attitude. How are you showing up? Are you showing up in a negative manner? Are you thinking negatively daily? And are you coming from a place of hate and anger or bitter? Or are you coming from a place of love? Because coming from a place of love truly matters. And when we talk about the D in leadership, it's for dominate. Dominate each and every one of your goals. I believe in you. And when we talk about the E in leadership, it's for enjoy this journey we call life. Too often we say, okay, well, now it's okay to drift. It's okay. No, it's not okay to drift. It's not okay to drift. You need to make certain that you're aware of your actions and your habits. And again, you enjoy this journey we call life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when we talk about the R in leadership, it's for resilient. We spoke about a resilient mindset earlier. Resilient, being resilient truly matters. And when we talk about the S in leadership, it's for serve. My word of the year is serve. I love serving others. What's your word of the year? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, please. What is your word of the year? Servant leadership truly matters. We have some word of the years coming in. I see impact. I see energy. I see glow up, and I love it. Now, when we talk about the H in leadership, it's for hold on to hope. Hold on to hope. Oftentimes folks say, well, what on earth am I holding on to? You're holding on to hope. Let go and let him. And when we talk about the I in leadership, it's for inspiration. You are an inspiration. Yes, you. Lift up your head. Yes, you. Emily, I see you. Lift up your head. You are an inspiration. And when we talk about the P in leadership, it's for pray daily. Pray daily. It truly matters. And now, lastly here, I want to go through a few affirmations with you all. So if you all can unmute your mics, please. And I'm going to state an affirmation. And after I state the affirmation, I want you to say it with me out loud. Are you ready?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
here we go. The first one. I am strong and resilient.
I am strong and resilient.
Brilliant.
I am successful.
I
am successful.
My capacity for love is infinite.
My capacity for love is infinite.
I let go of those who do not have my best interest at heart.
I let go of those who don't have my heart.
interest at heart.
I let go of my past and I live in the present.
I let go of my past and I live in the present.
I am growing each and every day.
I am growing each and every day.
I forgive myself and learn from my mistakes.
I forgive myself and learn from my
mistakes.
I am a work of art.
I
am
am
a work of art.
Wow, very powerful. Only a few more left. I am valued.
I am
I am
valued.
valued.
I allow myself to feel deeply.
I allow
myself
myself to feel deeply.
I am open to receive love.
I am
open
open
to
to
Receive love.
I am open to receive love. Louder, let's hear it.
I am open to
to
receive
receive love.
love.
I love the body I was born with.
I love the body I was
born
born with.
with.
I can achieve anything I set my mind to.
I can achieve anything I set my mind to.
I overcome challenges with grace and ease.
I overcome challenges with grace and ease.
I have a warm and caring heart.
I
I have a warm and
and
caring
caring heart.
I deflect negatively.
I
deflect
deflect negatively.
I believe in myself.
I believe in myself.
I can say no when something does not serve me.
I can say no when
something
something not serve me.
I have a lot to offer the world.
I have
I have a lot
for the
for
world.
the world.
And lastly, I love every part of what makes me who I am.
I love every part of what makes
me who I am.
Wow, very powerful. My goodness, you all did amazing. Thank you so much. Put an emoji right now in the chat in regards to how you're feeling right now after those affirmations. Awesome. Now, thank you, thank you. I do see a heart. I see the fire emoji. Awesome. Now, our next speaker is Pearl. Welcome, Pearl. Pearl.
Hi.
Pearl, she's a mental fitness life coach, author, and speaker, and she helps women put themselves first authentically without guilt so that they do not look back wondering where they were in their mind, their body, and their spirit, becoming Sheroes, which means strong, happy, empowered, radiant, original of their lives. Welcome, Pearl.
Thank you so much. What a great way to start this event. I'm so happy to be going after you too, because the word no is so important, you guys. So on the count of 3, unmic yourself, and I want you to say no as excitedly as you say yes. So 1, 2, 3. No.
No.
Yay. I love that. So you see, my name is Pearl Sharenza, and I am a mental fitness life coach, author, speaker, and I'm also a mom, a wife to my husband of almost 40 years. I have two amazing young men in my life. My oldest, Matthew, is forever 25. We lost him, unfortunately, 18 months ago in a tragic car accident. He was born of our hearts, so we love him and miss him dearly, but he's still with us. And my youngest is Nate, who is 24 and is going to be getting married this October. So my story is about that ever flow of waves that can come in our lives, right? But back in 2015, I truly didn't know how to show up for myself in my life. I surely didn't know who I was and what that I am statement was for me. You see, I'd taken a 6-week course, thought I was learning my I am statement. And when it came down to it at the end of the 6 weeks to give my statement, I still was saying I was all these titles I was wearing, mom, wife, PTA volunteer, all these things that we put on ourselves because we think we have to show up for others because we think they're not going to like us. Oh my gosh, they think I'm selfish. They think I don't care. All those thoughts that if you are overcoming people pleasing addict like myself are negatively affecting us. So I decided that year I had to do something. I needed to start showing up and glowing up in my life. And in order to do that, I had to overcome being a people pleaser. So what I had to do was determine where was I showing up for the things that I did not want to be, and where do I want to show up for where I want to be. As I did that assessment, I realized I was such a people pleasing addict that you might have asked me to come help you put your socks in your sock drawer away, and I probably would have said yes. So I decided I had to make a commitment to say no to something 3 times a day. And so that's not easy, you guys, because if you're like me and you have a hard time saying no, as that addict I was, it can be very daunting. Your mind will play all kinds of tricks on yourselves. So I had to decide to do something crazy and silly because that's who I am. And I found a rock. Now, this is not the rock. This is actually one I keep in my desk that says gratitude. But I found a small rock that I could keep in my pocket or stick in my little bra strap. And I had to move that rock 3 times a day by saying no to something. And so maybe Gigi might have asked me to do this event and it wasn't the right thing for me. I would have to learn to say to Gigi, oh my gosh, this sounds awesome. And it's just not a good fit for me. And just leave it at that, right? So as I was starting to say the no, at the end of the day, I realized some days I forgot to say no. So because I want to really create this habit in my life and start showing up for me, I decided that when I got home at night, if I had not said no at least 3 times, I had to look at my email or my text messages and pick something to say no to. And as I did that, I started glowing up in my life. I started becoming stronger in the word no and understanding that for me, I know that the word no is a powerful thing because I'm actually bringing the good things. It's also like when you do affirmations. How many of you were listening to some of the affirmations we went with Gigi and you said, okay, I'm going to say that, but I don't know if I believe it, right? So what if you flip the affirmation? Like sometimes I have clients will talk about affirmations around money and they're like going, Pearl, people want me to stand in front of the mirror and say, oh, I have all the money in my bank account, but I don't have any money in my bank account. Okay, so what if you flip the brain to do something differently? This is what I love to help my clients guide them through is that, how about if you stood in front of the mirror and say, you know what, today I'm going to take actions that are going to bring me closer to more abundance in my bank account. I'm going to make decisions that are going to be good for me to bring into my bank account. Then you kind of get your brain thinking differently. So the bottom line is, you guys, our brain is our best friend, but it can be your worst enemy. And if you don't start showing up for yourself, like my son reminded me 2 days before he passed, we were in a garage throwing water bottles. He needed a water bottle. He was a football player. When I threw that water bottle to him, what he said to me, and I will never forget these words, was, Mom, you finally got an arm. You know how to throw. And you know what? On top of that, I love that you finally figured out who the heck you are. So if you're ready to figure out who you are, it's time you start learning the word no to others and yes to yourself. Because I will leave you with this. Your homework is to go home tonight and think about if you were not here to bless us with your beautiful self tomorrow, and all your friends and family could say about what they saw you do for yourself, what would they say? And if you can't think of 3 things, your homework is to start writing 10 things that bring you joy and start working on those 1 day a week. Because you deserve to be happy, you deserve to be, that radiant self, and even our heroes in our lives, because they too can be stronger in this journey. So my name is Pearl Sharenza, and I hope you go out today and find your inner pearl to greatness as you become the Shiro you are.
Thank you, Pearl. I truly appreciate you. Now, at this time, I welcome our next speaker, Melissa Jackson. Melissa Jackson is a speaker, a coach, and a retail specialist. Welcome, Melissa.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on here. That was absolutely beautiful, everyone that shared, and thanks so much, Pearl. That was a perfect lean into, I think, the topic that I wanted to cover on leadership. And I love how you covered the fact that you're leading yourself. So I want to talk to everybody about the importance of defining the difference between a leader and a boss. A lot of people, when they're on this leadership kind of studying, they sit there and they think, okay, I have to be a leader. In order to be a leader, I have to have authority. In order to be a leader, I have to have people that work for me. In order to be a leader, I have to matter. And for anybody that might think that, if you're watching this or you're listening to this later, or wherever you're at in your life right now, I want you to understand that you do matter. You matter a lot. You are a leader whether you have the defined role or not. There's somebody, I guarantee you, somebody that woke up today, got out of bed, went to work, brushed their teeth, kept fighting, showed up for themselves, whatever it is, because of how you've shown up for yourself and how you've led yourself. Somebody is watching you. So whether you think that you are not where you want to be in your goals, whether you think what you do does or does not matter, I guarantee you it is 120% a butterfly effect. You are a leader. It does not mean that you have to have a boss role. Now, for me, I started realizing this at a very young age, but it really stuck out to me in 2017. In 2017, I had started to rebuild my life. I lost everything financially, everything health-wise, and went through a large health crisis. I'm better now, everything's great. But what I realized when I started rebuilding everything is I started leading me first. I implemented a habit a week by week, to rebuild my health, to rebuild my life, to rebuild my business. And I compounded those for 2 years straight. Now I run 2 international companies between coaching and consulting and speaking. And I'm a best-selling author, and I was just featured in Times Square magazine. But the thing I realized was me going and auditioning for The Voice, me going in, drinking a gallon of water, all of these things are what mattered the most and how I got the biggest support, because people started realizing that they had the strength within themselves by following my journey. So I want to encourage you guys to do the exact same thing. Now, on the other side of that, I've been blessed with the opportunity to work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies. I've also been blessed with the opportunity to be in formal management / leadership roles at a very young age. I got my first crew leader / position when I was 15 years old at a restaurant. Here are a couple things that I've noticed when it comes to business owners that are successful entrepreneurs, franchises, or what have you, as to how they lead their organization. The first thing is that they understand the difference between a leader or a boss. A boss is someone that shows up and says, you need to clock in on time. Boss is someone that shows up and says, do it because I told you to do it that way.
Penny. But financial wellness, it isn't just about budgeting. It's also about planning for the unexpected. Because, life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it, right? Maybe your car turns into a money pit overnight, or your pet decides to develop a gourmet taste for vet pills. That's where emergency funds come in. And one of my clients, they make over $500,000 a year. They had no emergency fund. They had never been taught to save. And so when emergencies came up, and they did come up, they were not set. They were not ready. So think of an emergency fund as a financial safety net. It's there to catch you when life decides to throw these lemons your way. And if you're set and if you are ready, then with a bit of luck, you can turn those lemons that come in into lemonade and maybe start a business and become the leader that you know you are. And the next thing I wanted to go over is debt. Debt is kind of the unwelcome guest, right? It just won't leave the party. Whether it's student loans, credit cards, an IOU from a friend, debt can feel like a heavy burden weighing you down. Maybe if you feel a tightness in your chest, or it could be hard to breathe even. Debt can create all kinds of it is the total opposite of peace of mind. It just creates a lot of stress. But once you've paid off debt, you can feel a lot freer. And then once you've got that paid off, you can celebrate, maybe even throw a debt-free dance party and bust a move, Just make sure it's within the budget. Finally, I want to touch on investing. The glamorous world of stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, investing is like planting seeds in a garden. It's like watching your money grow over time. Now, sure, there may be some weeds along the way, but with a diversified portfolio and a long-term mindset, you can weather any financial storm that comes your way. And who knows, maybe someday you'll be on a beach somewhere thanks to those savvy investment decisions that you made in your PJs, right? Now, in conclusion, achieving financial wellness and peace of mind is not about becoming the next Warren Buffett. It's about taking small, consistent steps towards financial goals while enjoying the journey along the way. And, a lot of the other speakers have talked about this. It has got to be about the journey and not about the destination. Because if it's only about the destination, you won't be able to hold on to the rules and be as dedicated as you need to be. So let's raise a toast to budgeting, emergency funds, debt-free dance parties, and smart investing, and take a whole lot of determination and financial success, and then it'll be within your reach.
Thank you, Ken.
No problem.
Awesome. Now, our next speaker is Dr. Ambreen Reyes. Welcome, Dr. Reyes. Dr. Reyes is a medical doctor with an MPA degree from Harvard University.
She went to 3 different ERs. They dismissed her as being hysterical, all sorts of name calling. And then finally, she was on the verge of having a near-death experience. She went into shock, but luckily we got her back. And she had ectopic pregnancy, which is when the embryo is not in the uterus. It embeds itself either in the fallopian tubes or outside the uterus. And it's a medical emergency, but a lot of women go through that. I'm going to talk specifically about women's health because that's my area of expertise. But it doesn't mean that men don't have issues with pain management either. So I'll be speaking about precision medicine and AI particularly because that's my area of expertise and how I use AI and data analytics to create frameworks to help women understand how to deliver better healthcare practices and also understand what are the bottlenecks. And a lot of times there are frameworks in place, but they're in complete antitheses to what we want to achieve. And that's why we don't move forward. And that is why a lot of the information technology sector in particular seems to be moving backwards rather than creating those innovations and breakthroughs because we're not using the patient-centric approach. We've seen a lot of gender disparities, particularly related to chronic pain. I'm quoting this Harvard Health study that we did together. It was published I've written the source also in Harvard Health magazine. So 70% of chronic pain that women experience, that's not detected, whereas 80% of the research work that is done on chronic pain is basically done with men or mice. So there is no data point that can actually lead us to understand why women suffer more or what is the reason for chronic pains. So all the studies and all the research work is focused on men, and that's how we come up with conclusions of those research studies, and then we devise whatever chronic pain management strategies we have based on those. This is all evidence-based. Like I said, I'm not making anything up. I'm not exaggerating. It's all published paper. I use references from my own Harvard journal as well as from JAMA or internal medicine journals. We really have this gender disparity when it comes to diagnosis and treatment. Women have to wait about 65 minutes before receiving an analgesic in ER. This is just one statistics. There are many different data points. But I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to bore you. My idea is just to spread that knowledge, create that awareness that where we are and where we need to be, whereas the men only have to wait about 45 to 48 minutes. So that clearly shows the gender disparity when it comes to like how we treat pain, how we address pain, particularly for women. And there are more complexities to this also, in the sense that women have to face more biases. There is a gender bias, there is a racial bias as well that I will touch on in a while. And these are all like studies based around Black patients' experiences of perceived pain with discrimination, and then the outcomes of those. So whenever there is a physician who has a bias, unfortunately, that pain is not treated the proper way, and that results in outcomes that are not obviously unwelcome outcomes, and things that we don't want to, like such as lawsuits that we don't want to deal with. Physicians' implicit bias, like I mentioned, leads to more pain tolerance. They feel that people of darker skin have more pain tolerance. They have thicker skin when it is not true. All this evidence and all the studies show that that's not true, but it's just a perception. And also physicians who endorse these false beliefs are less likely to have appropriate pain treatments for Black patients compared to white patients. And failure to address the biases also leads to further complications. Now, this is a problem that is pretty much present all over the world. Now, how do we address these issues? What is the solution? So solution can be, one of these is data analytics, and it is very helpful framework. I did my CS50, even though I'm a physician, but I did CS50 course at Harvard, which is a programming course. And the reason I did it was because I wanted to incorporate these innovative programs into women's healthcare and come up with these innovative solutions that will eventually create these breakthroughs. So you have to identify the patterns, you identify the trends, and then you spot these bottlenecks and the correlating data, and then you can personalize the treatments. And this is how we can use these large data sets, particularly for pain management. We took like about a data set of 52,000 patients. They were gender specific, just for women, between the ages of 85 years to 75 years. 33.9% was ectopic pregnancy, as it shows. And I mentioned earlier also, 10% is autoimmune. Autoimmune disease pain management is also very hard and difficult to manage. Then 26.8 is chronic pain, which includes fibromyalgia, some other symptoms, and the surgical procedures. So whenever there's a surgical procedure, women receive less pain management compared to men. Even for like a small tooth extraction, for instance, women would just receive like 1 day supply of like painkiller, whereas men would receive a 3-day. I've also been using machine learning algorithms and precision medicine to create individualized care for women. And that includes data analytics. We develop these machine learning algorithms to find data points that are useful to us, spot these trends, and then personalize those healthcare interventions. We also looking into gender-specific health trends and disparities. And specifically for women, precision medicine can be easily used to distinguish the DNA sequencing patterns and create better outcomes for patients. That's all, and thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Riaz. Very powerful. Now, our next speaker is Fritznell Octave. Fritznell Octave is an accomplished journalist, thought leader, and esteemed author hailing from the rich culture and vibrant heart of Haiti. Fritznell has dedicated over 25 years of his career to report on issues and policies that affect ordinary Haitians in their daily struggles. He strives to shine a light on the often overlooked and untold stories of the Haitian people. Fritznell has taken his inspirational journey from community radio broadcasting programs, national newspapers, to some prestigious international news organizations. Welcome, Fritznell.
Thank you, Gigi. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for accepting me to be part of this great pool of leaders. I'm very truly honored to be here. Let's do it together. My talk today is about value. But before I start, let me just say quickly, I am, as Gigi mentioned in the introductions, I'm from Haiti. I'm married with two beautiful children. I have my daughter, the first one. She's in college at Florida State University in Tallahassee. And my second one, which is a boy, he's in high school, he's in a third grader. So I'm someone who is very sensitive about family value, family. I do all I do to make sure that my family always happy. And also I try to make sure that I'm a plus for everyone around me. When it comes to value, I can't really stop thinking about this quote from John Maxwell. It says, one of the burdens of leadership is the obligation that a leader has to continuously adding value to others. Because the reason is simple. It's not just leadership is not a one-way street. It's you as you add value to others, and then you are adding values to yourself. You keep going. So in my experience, I have developed these tools. So I use mainly in my let me see if I can share it. My screen here. Where am I?
Fritznell, it should allow you to share screen if you click.
Yeah, it's look like I'm not. Let me see. Okay. All right, good. Yeah. Yes. So I have developed this tool over the time I've been coaching and mentoring people in my field. It's a very simple process. I call this 5-step process where number one, which is the very, very, very important thing is to check your understanding. So anytime you start thinking about the people you lead, about anyone at any position you are, maybe you are a supervisor in a retail business, or you are a manager, you're a church leader, you can be a preacher, you can be a Sunday school teacher, in whatever role, whatever capacity you're serving others. So the very first step in your process to do anything is to check your understanding of what in the world you want to do. That's the purpose. So I'm glad that someone prior to me here mentioned it. the intentionality behind everything you do. You define your purpose, your goal, so what you want to accomplish. And then from there, you will be able to figure out, so what tools I'm going to need to be able to achieve this. Right, so I'm going quickly here because it's a 50-minute presentation, so I'm doing it in 10, okay? So the second one is, it's now, once you realize that you understand what you want to accomplish, your vision is clear, your purpose is clear, your goal all set. So now you need to check on yourself. So that's what I call questioning yourself. So it is a lot of questions you can ask yourself, but in my tools, I use seven different questions. So including your faith. What is your belief system? Do you have faith in God or anything else? Because to me, in my life and my experience, so to people I always talk to, they know God is very important to me, and then this is the only reason I'm still alive. So God is always first. So if I know anything I'm going to do, so I'm going to do my best according to my ability, but it's as it says in the Bible, so I will sow the seed, but God is the one who's going to make it grow. So I cannot just sitting down and thinking that, oh, I'm so powerful, I'm going to do everything, so I don't have to think, I don't have to have faith in anything else other than myself. Okay, so and then quickly, do you see value in yourself? So if you don't value yourself, obviously you're not going to value anyone. How you add value to others if you don't even think that you're valuable? So am I adding value to myself? Yeah, you're valuable, but are you stuck where you are? Or are you you continue to add value to yourself, and so you can continue to grow? Because again, I'm calling John Maxwell again because he's my mentor. If you're not growing, you die. Also, another question is, do I value others enough? See, tied to the second one. Okay, and also am I investing in myself enough? So if I'm doing this, do I teach others to do the same? So in what way do I invest in myself? So if I figure out that way, do I teach others to do the same thing in that way? Because based on my experience, I invest in myself that way, and that allows me to grow. So I teach others to do the same. The third step is now you finish questioning yourself. So if those questions are questions that benefits you, and in adding value to others' process. So now you're going to ask questions to others, the people you lead, the people you want to add value to make sure that so you're doing the right thing. So question like, how can I help you? This is one question I always, even if I'm finished doing helping someone with something, so I want to make sure that I ask them questions if there's anything more I can do. So do you really understand? So I may think they understand, but I don't want to give the wrong perspective, have the wrong perspective of it. I don't want to think that they understand and then they don't. And then, is there any more question do you have for me? Do you need any more tools? You know, if you're in a position as a leader to lead a team, like I'm talking about corporate level, for example, you have business, you have so many people working for you. Your job is to not only make sure that they're doing their job, but you equip them to do their job. Whatever they need to do their job, you provide that. So you need to constantly asking them if they feel like they have enough tools to do their job. Do they feel they equip enough to do their job? Do they feel they need more help from you for any particular area specifically. And then at the end, is everything fair to them? Because you may think that you're treating everyone fairly, and then but they don't feel so. So you need to be mindful of that and keep asking them, do they feel that they've been treated fairly? So my fourth step is what I call EQ factor. So emotional intelligence. See, you won't be able to do your job as a leader, to really influence others. So in certain world, you call people who lead followers. So you're not going to do this well to benefit them if you don't have enough emotional intelligence. It doesn't matter how smart you are. Let's come back to Simon Sinek again. They don't care how you do it, but they care why you do it. So if you don't show them empathy, you don't show compassion, tolerance, inclusion, you don't see diversity for what it is. So as a value added to your organization, your system, everything you do, you don't treat people with equity. You don't have tolerance. You don't see knowledge as a tool as opposed to a weapon. So you don't see your environment as something that you continue to build up. So build capacity of your organization through human, through people. So and then you are in one place. You're not supposed to call yourself a leader. These are things that you don't have to be so smart intellectually, not the intelligence quotient, but the emotional intelligence. That's what will drive success more in any place. And then now you understand. You understand what you need to accomplish. You ask yourself a few questions. So you ask them a few questions as opposed to what you want to do to accomplish with them. And then you throughout that process. So that first step, the emotional intelligence, this is encompassing the whole process. So at any stage in the process, this is a factor that gets involved in what you do. So now, congratulations, you arrived. Now you can actually execute your plan. But now to execute the plan, you need to avoid one perspective, and then you need to avoid one strategy. So you want to make sure that you use the strategy that's suitable to the environment, to the people you're leading, and also all these questions you're asking yourself. It's that those questions allow you to be able to grasp, get a good grip of the right perspective. And then that's how you accomplish what I call the plus or minus and value added to other people. Because by value, I mean, so anything that is left, as positive or negative, and a leader-follower exchange process. Thank you.
Thank you, Fritz Snell. Now, our next speaker is Daniel Hammond. Daniel is a business interrogator. He's also a co-author, Customer Driven Leadership Legacy Edition and Implementation Guidebook. He's also a contributing author to Success Secrets of Disruptors, Voices for Leadership Volume 2, Pivot Magazine, December 2023 edition, and also a managing partner of Custom Driven Leadership, LLC. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Gigi. And I'm going to have to talk to Fritz Snell after this because he asked some good questions. So I am Daniel Hammond, and today I kind of hope to challenge you that a better life is achieved by questioning more. And so as I've kind of written and collaborated on leadership books, I spent a lot of time pondering the question, how do I best help people I serve? And through that, I came to the conclusion that I ask questions to help them better understand their true aspirations, and more questions to help them best achieve their goals. I am a combat veteran and an expert interrogation instructor who now interrogates people and businesses to unlock hidden potential, either by solving problems or optimizing strategies without compromising what really matters to the people that I serve. So throughout my career or careers, I've always been good at juggling what's important to other people, even when there are competing goals. For example, I once led an industry level cyber exercise. So it's kind of like a fire drill for cyber systems in front of the US Secretary of the Treasury. And in that exercise, I had to juggle the priorities of big banks, small banks, credit unions, financial associations, federal and state regulators, technology companies, and US consumers. And so through that, I found that in my interrogation expertise, rarely do people you are interrogating want to help you until you can first answer that question, well, what's in it for me, right? So to truly help people, you need to understand what they want. And quite often, they don't have a lot of clarity around that. So I've developed some questions that I hope will help them get to what do they really want. And so, I often come to them because they have a problem, but they're not thinking beyond the problem. Well, what happens when this problem is solved, and what is the result of getting the solution you think you want? For example, you'll hear a lot of people talk about, well, I want world peace, but what do we have to give up to achieve world peace? As long as you have one person in the world that's willing to commit violence to get what they want, you can't have world peace. And so what are you going to do with all those people, right? There's not an easy solution. You can't just make problem people go away without committing atrocities. And so, when you think through that, it's better to find checks and balances in how to live with people and have consequences for them, committing war crimes than there is in actually trying to create a world where nobody wants any violence, because that would require violence or coercion at a really huge scale. And so tonight, I just wanted to share some of those questions around what is the life you really want, to help people think about their future, hopefully in some new ways with some new tools. So my first question is, what is the one most important thing that you want to change over the next 12 months? This could either be something added to or subtracted from your life to make it better. Get promoted at work, have a better relationship with your spouse, give up smoking or alcohol, could be a few examples, right? But if you don't have a goal to make something better in your life over the next year, what are the odds that 12 months from now, your life will accidentally improve, right? Bottom line on this question is you need a target to hit the target, right? So if you don't have a goal in mind, then you need to find one, or else you're going to stay where you are more likely, or you're going to be disrupted by the world instead of sort of heading toward where you want to go. My second question is, what are you doing now to disrupt the life that you currently live to become the person who has that most important thing you want? And I'm going to put the questions in the chat at the end, so you don't have to write them down. But so you're currently a person who doesn't have this thing that you want, right? Whatever it is. And so there's a desire for change within you. But what actions are you taking to become that person? In other words, what do you need to do, become, or release from your life to achieve this goal? For example, in my own life, I was an expert in cybersecurity, a coach and a consultant, and an author with a servant leadership business operating system. When my phone rang, I crushed it for those that I was invited to serve, but the phone wasn't ringing enough. Nobody knew what I did, and so it was hard for them to connect with me. So I had to disrupt myself to get unstuck. I had to think about what does it do and how do I serve people? What I needed to do was create a brand that encompassed everything that I did. And so I launched Business Interrogation. So I asked questions to help businesses be more successful. It aligned with everything I was doing before, but now I was only doing one thing. So from this question, you need to aim at the target to hit the target, right? If you're not focused on becoming the person who has the thing that you want, then you're not going to achieve that thing. The next question is, if you had your most important thing today, what would you do next? And one of the reasons I like people to consider this question is because I want them to think about, how does that question make you feel? Is it scary? Right? If it is scary, then there's something in you that's not ready for the goal you're working for. And I'd encourage you to explore what that is and work to resolve it. Otherwise, in 12 months, it's still going to be causing friction trying to disrupt your success. One of the things that I do, and this is probably not typical of Army interrogators, is that I'm part of an inner healing prayer ministry. I wanted to learn more about inner healing, and my curiosity led me to going through the process. And I uncovered things about myself that were out of alignment with the life God wanted me to have. When I released those things, and through that process, I was changed so significantly that I wanted to give that gift to others. And so that's one of the things that I see most is, what is it in your life that's keeping you back, holding you back from achieving what you want to do? And so that's what happens if when you're asked, what would you do if you accomplish your goal today? If that scares you, there's something still there you need to do. If when you hear that question, you feel content, I'd invite you to create think about what comes after the thing that you're chasing now, right? Because once you're there, would you like it to be part of a series of goals? And maybe you can be working on that next thing alongside of the thing that you're currently working toward, so that you have momentum going into the bigger thing after you finish the most important thing. And so you're growing anyway, you might as well build toward that next chapter of success beyond the one that you're working on now. So the bottom line on that is, what direction do you want to be heading in when you hit your target, right? Create momentum and keep it going through that short-term success. My fourth question is, what parts of your life now must change in the pursuit of your most important growth goal? So, we have to prioritize our lives, and there are probably things that you're doing now that are going to get in the way of who you want to become next. You should write those things down and track your success, eliminating those things from your life. Maybe it's watching too much TV, right? That's eating up a ton of your time. Also, maybe it's not enough studying, right? If you want to be good at a topic, you should probably be studying from the people who know the most about that topic. And then as you eliminate things, continue to evaluate what else needs to change. Sometimes changing one thing introduces new issues that will obstruct your path. Once you have nothing else on the list, you're probably the person you're trying to become. If not, explore a little deeper and see what else is keeping you from that goal. Because I think once that list is truly empty, you're probably where you want to be. So kind of in summarizing, my fourth question is, what must you release to hit the target? My final question is similar. What parts of your life now must not change or be compromised in the pursuit of your most important growth goal? How many people lose themselves by pursuing what they believe is their passion? You have to prioritize the people and things of value in your life so that you're not building over them. How many people achieve the goal that they think that they want to have $1 million or whatever it is, business success, and then they achieve it and they look around and they've lost their families, they've lost their faith, they've lost other things that, in retrospect, were so critical to who they were, but they've sold their soul effectively to get that short-term goal. So the bottom line on this question is, what is so important to you that losing it makes the target irrelevant? So I hope these questions help you reach your goal over the next 12 months. And really just summarizing those questions is, what is the one most important thing you want to change over the next 12 months? What are you doing now to disrupt the life you currently live to become the person that has achieved that most important thing? If you had your most important thing today, what would you do next? What parts of your life now must change in pursuit of that most important growth goal? And what parts of your life now must not change or be compromised in the pursuit of that goal? By asking the right questions, you can understand what you truly want and what is critical to the life you want to have. You can focus on what matters most and optimize solutions that generate momentum toward the future that you want to have. Thank you so much, Gigi, for having me.
Welcome, and thank you, Daniel, and great questions. My goodness, I took notes. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to get a notebook and a pen and continue to take notes. Awesome, awesome. And our next speaker is Dr. Tanya Gold, who's like my sister here. Welcome, welcome. Dr. Tanya Gold, she's an MD family holistic medicine. She's an inspirational speaker, author, and she teaches yoga and laughter yoga. And she has a motto. It states, I don't laugh just because I'm happy because I laugh. Welcome, Dr. Tanya Gold. You're muted.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so first, hey, good. So what I'm going to first invite everyone to please stand up, please rise. If you can. If you're driving, please don't do that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Let me know if you can hear this. I want to just do this for about 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds. But if everybody can just unmute and say hello to the group collective, just say hello. So unmute everyone and just say hello if you're able to, again, to do that.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
hey, Marvia. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Gigi, my beautiful sister. Hey, Fritz. Hey, Daniel. Wonderful talk. Everybody's talk so far. My God, I learned so much from the last one. West Dove, Sydney.
Hello.
Hi, Harsh. Hey, Patty. Hey, Pearl. Hey, Lanier. Hi, Upshas. Nice to see you. Okay, so we can meet back. I just wanted to have that for a moment. We're going to start with some slow, deep breaths, and we're going to hear a song as we're doing this. So the song is too loud. Let me know. I haven't done this before with the music, but I'm going to try to. So stay risen for just this song. We'll have you sit down in just a moment, but see if this will play. Hold on. So if everybody can rise, I just want to take 3 slow deep breaths. Take a nice deep breath. See yourself. Deep breath. Raise your arms. Raise. Got this. Everybody rise up. Look up now. Look up. See yourself. Meet yourself. That's my favorite part. That's one of my favorite songs. So the reason I start with that is my whole talk is about elevate and rise up. And the reason this is so important is because we need to expand our bodies to expand our minds. Oftentimes we hear the words, the mind-body connection. Today we'll talk about the body-mind connection. How we move in our bodies, how we feel in our bodies affects our state. And we know our state is everything, right? It affects whether we're going to get that extra donut or not, or if we're going to get up out of that bed and rise up and go for that 5K or 10K or train for that marathon, or just get to work, get the job done, whatever it is that our goal is. Maybe just spending time with our kids. Maybe it's just planning that trip that we know we need, or taking a rest. Sometimes you just need to give back to your body too. So becoming that wizard with your mind. I love what Daniel said about those questions, because it really does beg the question, are you asking the questions that will serve you? And it's, for me, whenever I do put questions together, I usually ask, is this going to serve me? Is this going to serve my highest self, my highest power? And if the answer is yes, I'm in. And if it's no, I'm out. And it's really helped me to navigate and make decisions more quickly. So as a functional medicine doctor, I usually ask my patients, what's well with you? What's going right? Not all that's wrong, what's going well with you? And we also spend about an hour, hour and a half, sometimes more, but at least to really delve deep, because they're the priority. I turn off all my phones. I'm totally focused with them to get them better, because my whole goal is optimal health. And there's an ancient Chinese kind of history that I just read about, but for traditional Chinese medicine doctors, when you went to your doctor, it was a monthly payment. You paid them for wellness. If you became sick, you didn't pay. You only paid when you were well. And then you literally started, so if you got sick, you didn't pay. The doctor's plan was to get you well, and then you can start paying them again once you became well. And I just thought, that's what I want to do. I was like, I want to keep people well. So we're going to use the acronym RISE UP, because we know we sit way too much. And if you know you're guilty, I've been guilty as well. It does. And why can't we sit? I mean, obviously we have comfortable chairs and all this good stuff, but it puts strain on the low back. So 90% of that tension goes to your low back. And that's why so many Americans, so many people suffer with low back pain if they sit a lot. And I get it. Sometimes you have to do it for work, you're traveling, you're in your car, but at least try to get up here and there, try to move, pull over, stretch. Those moments when we can get up, let's do it. And that 20-20 rule works really well. Just every 20 minutes, get up for 20 seconds. So even if you're disabled, or people have, if you can't stand, of course, do what you can do. But if you're able to stand, even for 20 seconds, it shows benefit in the low back. The other parts of the rise is also in our face. So remember, when we rise up in those cheeks, I actually ask my patients all the time, show me your teeth, show me the teeth. And one of my patients actually said, here you go. I was like, not those types. So if you have them removable, keep them in. I just want you to raise up and rise up so you improve your posture. This reduces your risk for falls. This also helps engage your low back muscles so they get stronger. So does your legs. You also improve metabolism. So you're actually burning more calories just by standing. Because when we sit, we actually slow our metabolism after 30 minutes by 90%. So it's like, So the more we can actually stand, and if you're not sure, am I standing erect, ears over shoulders? I call them angels. And again, if you can stand up, if you're seated, just stand up for just one more moment and just literally raise those arms up. These are called angels. You can do this against the wall. If you don't have a wall available, pretend there's a wall, and you want your head, your hips, your shoulders, and your ankles to touch. And this will actually open up the posture. It gets you more energy to that brain, and it'll help those muscles so you actually feel better. It also can reduce risk for dementia because you're more alert. Because again, if you're hunched over, contracted, that's how we're going to actually feel. And again, if you're looking at a computer screen or at our phones or tablets all day, it puts a lot of strain on that neck. So just elevating the body or rising up will help. The I in rise is for eye. So remember, for anything in a group, in a team, you can't do it alone. Those I statements, I can, but we also need we as well. So putting the I and merging it with the we, that gets all of us. And recognizing we're as a collective, we all affect each other. That's why I wanted everyone to say hello to each other, feeling that group energy to ground ourselves, feel that vibration moving through us. And it's okay to be human, right? If you get upset, you feel down, that is being human. Just recognize that you can feel a certain way, but you don't have to stay that way. So letting things shift or move, and the more you're active with that in your body, where you smile to feel better, you laugh to feel better, and you can be prompted for this. So you can have the videos ready. You just have to hit the play button. Same with music. It can shift you. So making sure you're taking care of you so you can say, yay. So I want everybody, again, just unmute for a few seconds. And we're all just going to wave our arms. I'm all giving you a high five. You just got that promotion. You got whatever your goals are. Yay! And I just celebrate life. Every day I'm above ground because I have some 90-year-old patients. They say, Dr. Gold, if I'm above the green, it's a good day today. I am seen, not viewed. It's a wonderful day. So making that a standard so you can feel better. And when you elevate you, it can elevate those around you, can elevate your team. So you start to feel that connection with each other. And again, if we're having one of those days, it's okay to let people know. Not feeling, but it's okay to let it move through me. I don't have to stay there. Give yourself permission to heal. Give yourself permission to start to feel better sooner rather than wait and wait and wait. And of course, get the help if you're suffering with depression or anxiety. Get the help that you need to feel better. As a holistic medical doctor, I use a lot of herbs, supplements, just whatever natural tools, including laughter, yoga. Obviously, we use traditional therapies as well. I do a blended approach to get people well long-term. And that's just so satisfying. I love my patients getting off their medicines too. So it's very, very gratifying. I had a patient just recently get off his blood pressure medicines. He's like, all the doctors said I couldn't do it. I was like, you can. And you can all, if you're on medication, you can get off your medicines or reduce the dose. I never make promises, but I've had so many patients who've done it with the right lifestyle. Of course, it's going to take work. But the nice part is you have that discipline, you stick with it. For him, it took him about 7 months, but there's no reason you can't make those steps to even that 1% improvement can make it's progress. Progress is what we want. It's not perfection, it's about progress. And then the S is for smile. I literally try every day, and it doesn't mean I don't get grumpy. I do. Gigi can tell me. We lived together for a while, and I thank you, Gigi, for putting this on too, and thank you all for being here. But, sometimes we want to get grumpy. Let's have our grumpy face for a moment. Everybody put their grumpy face on. Yeah, there we go. That big lip, right? That 2-year-old face. Now let's turn that frown upside down. Let me see the teeth again. There we go. And it's crazy, but the studies have shown from a UCLA study, if you smile, they actually asked participants, if this was a pencil, they didn't tell them why they were doing it. They just told them to do this. Put the pencil between your teeth. And when they did that, which emulated a smile, they asked them to answer a bunch of questions. Then later on, they said to put the pencil right above on the top lip like this, and just for a certain period of time. Then they asked that same group to answer those same questions. And they found when they were frowned, like in a kind of grumpy face, almost all those identical questions were answered more in a negative manner. And everything, when they were smiling, they answered it more in a positive manner. And if you think about it, how do you feel even if you had a great day, but then someone told you something like you collected their energy and then you started feeling down too, or you just started saying, oh my God, this is too good to be true. Oh, this bad things are going to start happening. Or you're just in a slump for whatever reason, and you just stay down, and you don't start doing these tools to lift you up. How are you going to feel? So the more you look down, that's how you're going to feel, versus elevating. So you can kind of snap out of it. Let's everybody snap for a moment. Snap. Yeah. So you can set triggers. One of the big triggers I find is power poses. Amy Cuddy studied this, and you can literally find a stance that just empowers you. I know you can't see my whole body, but I'll just kind of scoot back a little bit. But if you think of your favorite superhero pose, whoever that is for you, just in a moment, take your favorite superhero pose right on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Superhero pose. Yeah, I love it. I love the arms. There we go. But if you notice, everything is erect. Everything is up. Chest lifted, shoulders back. That's a stance of confidence. And when what we're talking about, that rise up, it's confidence. When you have confidence, you can bring in more happiness, joy. It actually gives you more peace of mind too, because we're making decisions. We're letting go of stuff that doesn't serve us, bringing in the stuff that does. And again, helping with that blood flow. So get that stance in, bring that smile in, take those breaths, 3 deep breaths, and you can bring peace. I love the meditation. I've been doing more of that. I've been doing something called Duality with Mind Valley from Jeffrey Allen. And he literally just tells you every day, bring in your good energy, again, from your highest power, your highest self. There's different ways to channel that. People do that through exercise, through good nutrients, sometimes chatting with friends, sometimes just a power session, sometimes just journaling, whatever works for you that uplifts. And sometimes it's a various components of things. Maybe it's reading certain books that uplift you as well, writing poetry, listening to music, being with family, whatever it is for you. Sometimes not being with family, but whatever uplifts you to get you to that highest power. The last part the first one was R for rise up. I is I statements, meaning that yes, I can do this, but also knowing that as a collective, we channel each other's energy in a good way. So we can support each other. And then the I also means join up like these beautiful groups, because adding the I with the we. And then the S is for smile. And the E is for excitement. We know when we get excited, we have energy, and energy is awesome because you feel better. You allow that energy to permeate through your whole being. And when you are smiling, in my book, I wrote about this. I wrote a book on 7 habits of extremely happy people. If you are interested in a copy, just let me know. You can message me in the chat. I'm happy to give you information. We have an audiobook too. But the whole idea is I was in a very dark place. I was sick when I was younger, and my doctor said, you really are never going to get better. You have an autoimmune disease, you'll always have it. So first, you are not a disease. I did separate myself. I renamed it to Sparkles, and I told myself I am going to get better. This is over 20 years ago. Thank God. Free of symptoms, better, never got the surgery that they recommended, using natural. I started with the traditional, but the traditional was really making me sick. They put me on lots of steroids and antibiotics. And again, of course, traditional medicine has its place. I just know for chronic disease, we need to add some more. We need to talk about nutrition, the importance, and exercise and mental state too. So I use a combination or blended approach, as I said earlier. But that E for excitement, again, figuring out for you what gets you excited. But we know movement or blood flow is so, so good. So getting up every 20 minutes for just 20 seconds, shake out the body, get the wiggles out or get the wiggles in, whatever feels good. It doesn't have to be a lot. And remember, when you're doing day-to-day stuff, if you're doing the dishes, I just start shaking my body, play some fun music, same with the laundry. You can blend this into your everyday. And if you're at the desk, have a little timer. Those reminders are really good. And I want you, just one last exercise and I'll wrap it up, but I want you to see your future self. So we're going to do just, if I may, bring you through a mindful meditation. I've studied NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and it literally is just conscious hypnosis. So I'm never going to take you to a place you don't want to go, but the nice part is I can take you to a place you do want to go. And remember, the subconscious affects us, and that could be ancestral heritage or things we got you've received from other family members that don't no longer serve us anymore. Maybe that's with hoarding or having a hard time letting go. For me, I come from an immigrant parent who literally said, you're self-made, you have to work hard till you die, and you can't get help. You have to do everything yourself. So it was so hard for me to hire assistants. I was like, why is this to leverage my business to take it to the next level? Well, it was because my dad. So I had to let go of that belief. It doesn't serve me anymore. And I've been hiring more people. My life has been so much easier. It's still, I have many places to go, but it's gotten easier. Funds have been coming in because I'm allowing other people, realizing too, I can't do it all myself. So let's take this moment. I want you to close your eyes if you're comfortable. Center behind the eyebrows and take a nice, slow, deep breath in. Inhale, soften your cheeks, relax your jaw, and a nice ah. So as Daniel was talking about your target, I want you to pick one goal right now, one goal for you. It doesn't have to be in the far, far future. Actually pick something that you want maybe for the next month. I want you to see that goal right now, that goal. We're gonna actually pull up a nice, beautiful TV screen in front of you. And I want you to see yourself in that movie screen accomplishing that goal right now. So close your eyes, see yourself there. It might be a little dim or a little hazy right now, but I want you to brighten that picture. So make it a little bit brighter. Take another nice deep breath, brighten that picture, make it even brighter. I want you to add some volume to it. So here, there's a negotiation going on. If you were on a trip, whatever your goal was, or if you just wrote your book or another book, whatever it is, or now you're on the New York Times bestseller, whatever it is, see yourself with the volume up. It might be silence. One of your goals may be going to a retreat or just being somewhere quiet. Whatever it is, but just notice the ambiance around you. Make the colors bright, brighten up, brighten up. And then also notice if there's any aromas, any smells there. Notice that as well. Again, heighten those senses, really peak them. If it's something that you're touching or feeling, feel that. Maybe it's that bonus check. You just got another $10,000, just signed up with some new clients. See that, feel that. Maybe just hearing their beautiful voices. Good, let's take another nice deep breath. I want you to see your future self. Go in that posture, go in that stance, achieving what you set out to do. You actually achieved it. Notice how you feel right now. Take another nice deep breath in. Good. Now I want you to picture that in your body right now. So you, the person you are today, is going into that screen. See yourself in that screen. Again, brighter. Make it brighter, louder. Feel it, sense it. Now I just want you to own it. Ground your feet in. Get that positive stance that you had earlier, that superhero pose. And just notice that feeling. I'm patting you on the back right now. Give you a nice big hug, nice high five or handshake. You did it. You did it. I'm so proud of you. Gently open your eyes now. And the amazing part is manifestation does work, as you've heard from so many people who do it. Put up, if you want that check, have that check up there. If you want to meet that person, have that person there with you there. If you want to be on somebody else's show, have this up every day, every day. Marie Diamond talks about that. She's a Feng Shui guru. But you got to put it out what you want. And then I'll just leave with one quick story. So I manifested, my cat got sick recently. He had to get surgery. And I manifested, I don't want to take him back to the vet. Please, God, just help me find a way that he doesn't have to go back to that vet. And the vet was good. It's just he's traumatized just being in the car. So my yoga class yesterday, and I just did this a few days ago. One of the students says, I want you to meet my daughter. I met the daughter. I don't never usually ask them what you do, but I asked her, I said, what do you do? She goes, I work at Harmony Vet. And I said, oh my God, my cat just had surgery there. She goes, what's your cat's name? I said, Prince. She's like, I drew his blood. And I said, oh my goodness. And I told her the story. She's like, I'll come over. And she did. She actually took care of my cat. And she's like, I'll remove his stitches for you. I was like, oh my God. So, and she lives in the neighborhood. So I just share this because synchronicities happen all the time. We just have to be open to them. We have to actually put out, be clear on your goals. And once you are, it's amazing how things could just happen. I was like, whoa, that was just wild. But things can definitely emulate for you. You are a manifester if you want to be. Put out what you want. You're amazing. You are a gift in this world, 100% perfectly made, and a beautiful shining light. Keep shining. Mwah. Lots of love. Thank you, Dr. Gold.
Thank you, Dr. Gold. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you, my sister.
Awesome. Now, our next speaker is Mark. Mark is a dynamic life and an executive coach, transforming the lives of many people with his intuitive coaching style. He's also a corporate well-being coach and consultant. Mark is a 20-year veteran of the corporate world and takes his experience and learning from over 20 years in this space as an inspiration for his talks and coaching work on how we can be better in life and better in work as a result. As well as being a very committed coach, he's a passionate public speaker, twice Toastmasters national champion, and he speaks regularly in companies and organizations on time management and work-life balance myths, the habit of good habits, coping mechanisms, well-being, and why we don't need to be happy, and the power of vulnerability, amongst other topics. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Gigi. Thank you all. I'm just going to share my screen here, if I may. It's wonderful to be here. Some very inspiring words and conversations there. A lot of stuff that I'd love to talk more about. I'd love to respond to an awful lot of the lovely stuff that's been said, because it really touches on a lot of the things I think and the journeys that we're all on in this world, like trying to come home to who we really are. But today I'm going to speak a bit more about leadership. And I want to speak a little bit about creating positive impact through a solution-focused leadership. Now, it's a strange thing to say, but good leaders fail eventually. But the great leaders will change the entire culture. And so the question is, how do we go from good to being great? Because leadership is where we want to be. It's not about going on a walk on our own and no one following us. We want people to follow us wherever we go. So me, as Gigi introduced, I am a life and executive coach, corporate wellbeing coach and consultant. I'm a TEDx speaker, but I've also worked for 20 plus years in the corporate world previous to the life that I have now. And in those 20 years, I worked under bad managers, good leaders, great leaders, and fantastic leaders. Now, I also went from being a bad manager to a better manager to a good manager to, I'd like to think at the end of it, I became a great leader because I learned a lot of these skills. And it's this impact that we get from real leaders. I still remember very well to this day, the thing that really transitioned my career was when I would have thought I was not a bad manager, I was a reasonably good one. But then I was working as a mentor with the COO of the company, and he was a great leader. And in half an hour of his time, I learned more than I was learning in 6 months. Well, that's what a great leader does. They inspire and empower us. But so what's wrong with a good leader? Well, a good leader gets the work done. They manage tasks, they make sound decisions, they achieve goals, which is fantastic. It's great for a company to have someone who's getting that done. But how do they fail? They fail because it's all short-termism. It's not thinking into the medium term or thinking into the long term. It's not big picture thinking. And if you're a good leader and you're doing a job well at that level and you get a promotion and you still do the same job at that next level, you're going to fail because you need to become better to do better. It's no longer the same thing that's been asked of you. And that's one of the big challenges that we face. And an awful lot of what we're really talking about here is this idea of mindset. To be solution focused is to have your mindset right. And there's a lovely little slide, and I don't know if many of you here have read Carol Dweck's mindset book. It's brilliant, a brilliant analysis of what mindset really is. And now this is something that's discussed an awful lot. But this idea of fixed versus growth mindset, it is everywhere, it is all the time. And it is how we develop and how we grow is we step into the growth mindset and step away from this fixed mindset. Because this fixed mindset is what holds us back from being great. You cannot and will not become a great leader if you do not have a fixed mindset. You can achieve, a growth mindset. You can achieve to a level with a fixed mindset, but you will not inspire, you will not empower, you will not be a great leader that really brings people with you. Let me break it down a little bit by looking at an example between a fixed or growth mindset, or I will look at it in this situation as solution focused versus problem focused. So if you're problem focused and you're looking at challenges, you're looking at what could go wrong, you're looking at the things that don't work out for you, you're looking at the problems all the time, and then you spend all the time focused on the problems. As opposed to if you're solution focused, when you're solution focused, you're looking to see what we can do, how we can do better, how can we do better out of this, how can we collaborate as a team? What is the real goal we want to get towards out of this? Same with communication style. For someone who's problem focused, the communication style can be a tendency to blame, to try and find fault. And I know from being in the corporate world, wow, people like to find blame in those organizations that aren't leaders in thinking and leaders in development. People are always looking for the place to blame, as opposed to looking for how we can be better. What do we do wrong? How can we future-proof? How can we make this better for ourselves in the long run? Same as team collaboration. If you're in a blame culture, you go into a one-on-one as a team manager, you're putting the person down. You're putting them, holding them back. You're not allowing them to develop, as opposed to bigging them up, talking about their strengths of your solution focus. How can you be better? How can we help you be better? How can we empower you to be the better person? Response to failure. There is no such thing as failure except if you don't learn from your failure. That's a perfect example of fixed versus growth mindset. And back into long-term vision. Because if you are fixed mindset, you're short-term vision all the time. You're only thinking about right now, what can I solve? What can I fix right in this very moment? If you're growth mindset, you're into this long term. What do I see? Where do we want to go? How do we want to get there? What we're doing right now is good enough for right now, but will it be good enough in 6 months' time? Will it be good enough in a year's time? And that does not just go for how we work and how we are as leaders. That goes for how we are as a person. Because how you are right now, life changes all the time. Sorry, there's someone not on mute there, if you wouldn't mind muting. Life changes all the time. And if we don't change with it, we get left behind, we get stuck. So what are the core principles? So the core principles are this growth mindset. And I want to talk a little bit more about it in a moment, but also goal orientation. I want to give you an example of goal orientation. And let's take this out of the business world for a moment. Let's take this back into our day-to-day life. Okay. Simple example. And people will mention this all the time, that they want to get healthier. They want to lose weight. So one person with a very fixed mindset, or the negative goal, as I would call it in this instance, their goal might be to eat less rubbish, to eat less, I don't like to apportion bad or good food, but eat less sugary food, let's say. The other person's goal may be to eat healthy. Now, both aims are to get to the same point of losing weight. But one goal is focus on the things that you're missing out on, and the other goal is focus on creating a process and a system for being better at what we're trying to achieve. And that's the key to goal orientation. What is the thing that we want to achieve out of this? Not focusing on what doesn't work, but focusing on what holds us back, focusing on what drives us forward, what makes us better in the long run and has a long-term impact. Key again, the long-term impact. The other principles around being solution focused are empowerment, learning to empower your team to be better, to empower everyone to be their best self. Because what you want to do is you want to develop those people so that they replace you. Because you want to make sure that your ability to do your job is so good because everyone below you can do their job to such an extent that moving you on to the next level is not an issue for the company. And you want to bring people with you as much as you can. Same as resourcefulness. Being open and honest to say, I need to tune into everyone else here, ask people for their feedback, brainstorm with your team, empower them to solve solutions, because we don't all have the answers ourselves. Now, I would like to talk more about being a great leader and talk more about vulnerability and being able to be vulnerable in spaces. Heart. Not just thinking with the head, leading with the heart and understanding the people that you're working with, getting to know and love the people that you're working with in such a natural way in the workplace, be careful now, but in a way that allows them to develop and to grow so that you begin to understand them. Because that is one of the key ways to understand your people, is to really get to know them and make them, then you can make them better instead of driving them in the wrong way. With the idea of solution focused, I want to mention two people, because these are very, very solution focused individuals. Nelson Mandela and Steve Jobs. And Nelson Mandela, and I remember vividly, and obviously I'm showing my age here, when he was released from prison and that long walk to freedom that he made. And I remember sitting at home watching it on the TV, and it was an extraordinary piece of television, like the Berlin Wall being collapsed in terms of the pieces of television that are impactful throughout history. And he, as he walked out of the prison, he had a choice. And I even remember him talking about how he could hate his prison guards forever, and he could resent them, and he could have perpetuated the circle of violence that had gone on in that country for so long. But he said, and he said this himself, he said he chose to forgive the guards, because if he didn't, he would have carried that pain with him forever. But in doing that, he moved towards reconciling in the country. He was so solution focused, thinking, what is the best thing I can do for us to be better here? And even when you see the picture of him lifting the Rugby World Cup with Ruben Pienaar, the white South African captain, and that was the rugby being the white sport so much in South Africa, and bridging those gaps by being a man who did that. It was pure solution focused. Amazing, pure leadership. That is great leadership in that very moment. Steve Jobs is another fella who, brilliant for solving problems. What did he do? He realized people needed a phone, needed a music device, and needed a way to access the internet. So he created the iPhone. Ingenious, solving problems, all the time solving problems. I would love to have included a picture of my father there, who was another one of the most solution-focused and great leaders I ever met. Time constraints, but he showed that example of what way to do things in the right way, and that's the most important thing. Now, look, I just want to say too, and I use Homer Simpson, the great philosopher of the 20th century, or 21st century, like, I've met people and meet people in the coaching space, and they'll say to me, oh, but that's just the way I am. You know, having a fixed mindset, just who I am. You're defining a fixed mindset by saying just the way I am. And I completely disagree that that's just the way you are. That's the way you were. That's the way you're holding yourself to. That's the patterns and the and the thinking that you've done and used all your life for whatever reason, to protect yourself in a certain way, to hold yourself because of certain beliefs you have about yourself. Every single one of us has the capacity to change. Every single one of us can be better at what we do. Every single one of us can be a better leader. Every single one of us can be a better person. How? In the interest of time, let's do this quick and short. 3 simple questions that we can ask in work, we can ask in life, we can ask of ourselves at any point in time. What worked well? What didn't work well? What can I do better? There are 3 really important questions because it's about analysis, it's about awareness, and it's about action to make changes. Because we won't, if we don't, are not aware of something, we can't change it. But if we don't take action, nothing will change either. So we need the awareness and the action go together in order to make the changes. And that question, what can I do better? What a question to ask yourself first thing every morning when you wake up. What can I do better today? What a question to ask of your team. What can we do better? What a question to ask of your company. What can we all do better? Because if that becomes the motto for your company and for yourself, then everyone becomes great in the process. If we're always trying to see what we can do better, because every single one of us can do better. Thanks for your time, all.
Thank you, Mark. Very powerful. Now, our next speaker is Thurbin James. Thurbin is an author of 2 books, his main title being How to Read 50 Books in a Year Like a CEO. And he owns his own private school. Welcome, Thurbin.
Thank you for having me, Gigi, and I also want to thank everyone else in here for listening to me. So now I wanted to start with just thinking of your favorite 3 companies. And for me, this list is pretty short. So for me, it's Apple, Amazon, and Walmart because I do most of my business with them on a regular basis. And the reason I mention this is because like all great organizations start first with an individual. And a quote I heard that really stuck with me is, a company is only as strong as its leader. Now, to be honest, I'm a little nervous to be here, especially with everyone that's gone before me. And also just I had a tough time just preparing for the event because of the topic I chose, even though I picked it. But nonetheless, I thought like the easiest way I could add value to you all was just to tell you my story and my interpretation of what leadership is. And so, for those who don't know me, I had a pretty modest upbringing, nothing crazy. Mom's a CNA, my dad worked for the state, and I'm the oldest of 3 siblings, so all the pressure's on me in the house. Now with that, from age 0 to 18, I I pretty much I saw my life as like a walking robot. Like I just literally did as I was told by my parents and family. And the rules for my family were really straightforward. It was go to school, get good grades, don't get in trouble, and that was it. So I ended up doing that. I ended up graduating from high school, top 20% of my class without too much effort. And then I, got introduced to the real world at 18, where, I graduated and I knew intuitively, like internally, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. But that same dialogue with my family was, well, this was my dad, straight up. I'm paying for your first semester, you're going. And so I went to college. I ultimately ended up getting my AA degree just because I was told to do so. But along that journey, my life, my turning point was a girl. And it wasn't just any girl though. So for context, I knew her from high school, but she was the first wealthy person that I had ever met. Like, so for me, I saw her lifestyle on Instagram, seeing her private jets, traveling all over the country, great food, Ferrari, you name it, they're doing it. And it got me thinking like, because from where I come from, that lifestyle does not exist. And so it really got me thinking, like, what can I do to, you know, what can I do to get to where they are? And so with that, I end up building a relationship with her, and I end up getting recommended to read this book that she tells me to go read. And um, it's called Dying to Be Me by Nita Mojani. And to summarize the book, it basically just talks about a woman who was at like, she had like a cancerous disease. So she was at the very brink of death, and she has a spiritual experience. And after she gets through that, she comes out on the other side completely transformed. She goes to being completely vibrant and healthy, and even changing her whole financial situation to where she's financially free. And and then from there, my self-improvement journey began. I read 10 books the first year that I met her. I read 75 books the next year, 70 the year after that. And to this day, I've read over 350 self-improvement books. And in that process, a lot of people just kept asking me the same question over and over and over, which was, how is it that you read so much? Like, how do you do that? And so I ended up, thinking if this is a problem that people have, let me create a solution because, where there's a problem, money can be made. And so I ended up making my first book that way. And, you know, it then kind of, I noticed that, the world around me changed because I changed. And, with that, all of a sudden, people just that I had no idea that I was even doing this. People started coming to me asking me, "Hey, like, how would you do this?" Or, people coming to me for life advice. And me personally, I don't think I'm as qualified as some of the others in this room, to give that. But people literally would come to me and tell me, "You inspired me. Keep doing what you're doing." And it kind of got me thinking, like, I didn't choose to be a leader. I just decided that I'm going to improve myself, and others ultimately decided to see me as a leader from that moment on. And that's one of the points that I would mention to anyone is if you want to become a great leader, first start with improving you. Don't worry about everyone else. Don't worry about, you know, what your family thinks, your friends think. Start working on you. And that could look like a multitude of things. It could be, attending seminars, reading books, podcasts, or just, networking with awesome people like Gigi. And another thing that I would even harp on is, just the impact that you as an individual, you have no idea who you can inspire with your life and your message. And so just, wherever you are, if you're in that beginning stage of entrepreneurship or you're thinking, internally, there could be more to my life than what I got going on right now. I would tell you, first off, just work on you. Next, I would tell you, start keeping the small promises that you make with yourself. Because when you trust you, others will begin to trust you as well. And this could be super small things like brushing your teeth, making sure you attend meetings on time, showing up to work on time. And then when others begin to see that you're consistent in that, they'll begin to trust you. And and then lastly, I would begin to tell you to work on living life on your own terms. And, for everyone that could look different, but for me, that just simply means living in alignment with your own values. And so, a few examples I'll give you is me personally, I value growth. I value my family. I value freedom over my time. I value wealth creation. I value being of value to other people. having fun, and just, you know, being authentic. And with that note, I just want to, you know, leave the audience with just two questions on my way out. Is, you know, how can you lead your own life? And I'll repeat that again. How can you lead your own life? And then my last question is, what opportunities am I missing out on by staying the same? Again, that's what opportunities am I missing out on by staying the same? And it's been a pleasure, and I hope you all have a phenomenal day and stay blessed by the best.
Thank you, Thurbin. I love it. And now you said a powerful statement there. You said work on you. Thank you for sharing that. Very powerful. Now, our next speaker is Lanier Johnson. Welcome. And now Lanier is regarded as one of the top LinkedIn experts internationally. She's the author of Link Ability, 4 Powerful Strategies to Maximize Your LinkedIn Success, listed by Book Authority as one of the best LinkedIn books of all time, and is co-author of the bestseller Business Gold, Building Awareness, Authority, and Advantage with LinkedIn Company Pages. Welcome, Lanier.
Thank you, Gigi. And I think it's worth pointing out, because you'll hear it when I'm speaking, I am a New Zealander. So kia ora from New Zealand, and thank you for having me with you today. It's my pleasure to talk about LinkedIn, one of my most favorite topics. Now, I'm wanting today to talk to you about 3 specific ways that as leaders, we can use LinkedIn to demonstrate and amplify our leadership, to build our company's brand, develop our team, and enhance our professional reputation. Because LinkedIn is no longer social media, but a very important business tool. It's now used by more than 1 billion professionals worldwide, making it a powerhouse of opportunity for all of us. Now, this is especially so for senior leaders who are in a unique position to leverage its power to achieve their own professional goals, those of their companies and of their employees. Through having a strong personal presence and a powerful profile, leaders can stand out as role models, as candidates for new roles, and as the voice of their organizations. Never has it been more important for leaders to be heard, and LinkedIn is the perfect place to do that. So today I want to share with you 3 ways to use LinkedIn to strengthen your leadership. And the first of those is to build your brand. Senior leaders the world over underestimate the power of LinkedIn to help them develop their own personal brand, extend their networks, and share knowledge. Too often, the platform's seen merely as a recruitment site, which has long expanded well beyond. Now it's where those at the forefront of the industries can help educate and empower future leaders, where they can develop a reputation as experts in their field, and where they can meet and network with other senior leaders to share ideas and to learn. Now, all of this begins with your LinkedIn profile. In fact, everything we do on LinkedIn is based on the quality of our profiles. People use the platform to make a judgment about our professional abilities and experience. If they see a compelling profile that's full of detail about a varied career that's rich with videos, images, and presentations, and it demonstrates strong social proof through endorsements, recommendations, and reviews, they'll feel not only that they know you, but they like you, and more importantly, respect what you have to say. Now, just last week, we built a profile for a senior New Zealand leader who is shortly to head up a new division of his international company in Canada. So he had no presence on LinkedIn, but by demonstrating his expertise through the many projects he'd been involved with and adding detail of his background and his experience, he very swiftly began receiving invites to connect from people all over the world. Now, those connections will be hugely instrumental in him setting up in a foreign country where he knows virtually no one and has no knowledge of the culture. So through LinkedIn, he'll very quickly build a strong network of people who can help him, because at its heart, LinkedIn is all about building relationships. My second point that I'd like to leave with you is to become the voice of your company. LinkedIn is the ideal tool to personally amplify the company's agenda and its objectives. A leader who publicly talks about the good work the company's engaged on and how it benefits its customers and clients is appreciated by both the organization and its stakeholders. A leader who's present on the platform to support the company's LinkedIn marketing efforts significantly boosts its performance. A leader who hosts events or is available for LinkedIn Lives or audio events or publishes thought leadership content on the company page becomes synonymous with the organization and is highly regarded by their peers. By being part of the organization's LinkedIn marketing, everyone benefits. The team trying to widen its impact, the staff who observe how leaders are supporting the organization, and the wider LinkedIn community made up of a leader's peers, the company's suppliers, and customers. One of our key clients is a leader in the commercial design space. Initially, their LinkedIn presence was poor. Their efforts had been put into B2C social media rather than the online platform where decision makers really hang out. And of course, that's LinkedIn. This leader's taken a very public stance on many issues that concern workers today: the post-COVID office, diversity and inclusion, and the role of business in sustainability. By regularly contributing thought leadership articles and building a 10,000 strong network of connections, multiple business opportunities came her company's way. By speaking at multiple events and recording those on LinkedIn, she was invited to be more present and present at further events, culminating in her organization winning a prestigious national award. Now, the third point I want to leave you with is advocate for your employees. Most companies, and by extension their leaders, miss the power of employee advocacy. They fear that their team members who grow their public profile will be headhunted away. Well, in fact, the opposite is true. Team members value being valued. They appreciate being appreciated, and they are loyal to an organization that's loyal to them. Employees who develop their own networks and demonstrate their expertise become even more valuable to their organization. They can widely distribute the company's content and build powerful networks that learn about the organization and its work through them. People can reach other people far more successfully than companies can, helping to position the organization as a great place to work and as one that develops and supports its staff. Empower your team to broaden their talents by supporting and encouraging their LinkedIn efforts. Large organizations never underestimate the pulling power of their team members. For instance, you'll regularly see LinkedIn's VP Dan Roth being interviewed in quality publications like Entrepreneur, and a Microsoft employee in Canada, Krishna V, has a network of more than 16,000 followers for his posts about AI. These organizations see the benefit of their employees communicating their message in a way that they can't themselves, and LinkedIn is the conduit that they choose. So if you're not considering LinkedIn, you haven't spent much time on it recently, I do hope that you'll go away from today's event keen to see how you too might avail yourself, your staff, and your organization of the many opportunities that the platform provides for learning, growing, and connecting. Thank you very much indeed for your time today. I have really been most gratified to have the opportunity to talk about LinkedIn. Thank you, Gigi.
Welcome. And thank you, Lanier. Such an honor to have you here with us today. A very powerful talk. Thank you. Now, our next speaker is Cindy Dove, and we have the Dove family here tonight, and Wes Dove is here as well. Sydney is up first here. We have now, again, the Dove family. Prior to founding the Dove Development and Consulting, Wes and Sydney Dove developed strong professional resumes while working in both large corporations and small family-owned businesses. In addition to extensive work in behavior-based safety throughout North America, Wes held responsibility for safety compliance, human resources, and personal development in multiple industries. In over 20 years in the healthcare field, Cindy held responsibility for operations, hospice, and sales. By applying a foundation of leadership and effective workplace communication principles, Cindy created high levels of success for the company she served. Welcome, Cindy. Such an honor.
Thank you, Gigi. You know, Wes and I most often speak together, so we appreciate you having us here together. I'm going to kick us off and frame it up a little bit, and I'll hand it over to Wes. But we're going to talk about the cost of leadership and specifically profitability killers that happen in many organizations and how capturing that lost profitability can be done in specific areas, if not in just about every area. So organizations of all sizes invest significant amounts of time and money, energy, resources on improving their processes with hopes of becoming more profitable. Now, sometimes this is based on a goal of becoming, best in class, but sometimes it's just to stay competitive with customers or in attracting new talent. All too often, though, the things that can have the most immediate impact on profitability, as well as the lives of everyone involved, are really overlooked or sometimes even completely written off because they're considered to be intangible. So what are those things? Those are the skills that are needed to build an organizational culture that produces world-class results and really makes the best people in your respective industries want to be a part of your team. So those skills tie back to a word that's frequently misused, leadership. There's really never a shortage of issues demanding the time and attention of us as leaders, right? So if you genuinely care about running a profitable company, the investment that you make into becoming an effective leader and building a team of solid leaders around you will really yield a higher return on investment than any other thing that we've seen. And that investment alone will play a critical role in then driving better results in any other initiative that you and your team put in place. I've heard John Maxwell say many, many times that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Leadership is just influence. Now, a title may carry authority, but that will never yield the results over the long haul that only comes from that genuine influence. The challenge is that it can seem harder on any given day, to influence rather than leading from a position. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make a business case here in the next 7 or 8 minutes, like you may have never seen before, on why effective leadership can get much better results than you'll ever get with just that because I said so approach, right? We've all heard that. Now, before we unpack any specific action steps to really capturing loss due to poor leadership, it's really critical to quantify what we're leaving on the table. So we've heard countless executives suggest that leadership is intangible, but we're going to crack that myth and we're going to address specific profitability killers moving forward. So I'm going to hand it over to Wes.
So the premise of what Cindy just shared with you is really, it goes back to, I grew up in the safety and human resources field. I was a carpenter to start out when I was about 14 years old. That was my first full-time job, and hit the ground running in manufacturing thinking, hey, this will get me through college. And it did almost, not really, because I still haven't finished college, but I was in manufacturing for about 20 years and I ended up training all over North America in this thing called behavior-based safety. And I had a boss the whole time I was in safety and human resources that said, Wes, if you go to a training, if you take a webinar, if you do this, you do that, you've got to show me a tangible return on investment and where it hits my bottom line, not just in cost avoidance that human resources and safety so often focused on. So it really stretched me. And I can't say that I always liked him, but it challenged me to figure out how anything that we did could really be measured. And so often I see business owners, executives, supervisors at all different levels push back on the idea of leadership that, hey, it's a nice to have, but it's kind of intangible and we really can't see it. So what I did recently through a book I wrote called What's Killing Your Profitability? It all boils down to leadership. I walked through 10 specific ways that we can indeed see the impact of leadership in our bottom line in a profit and loss statement. Now, much like Emily shared in the beginning, I've got a similar background in manufacturing to some of the things she shared. And Melissa talked about leader versus boss. And I'll give a premise that the idea that good leaders, and I found a Harvard Business Review study that I referenced several times throughout the book that really talked about the cost of good leadership and bad leadership. And it talked about how increased commitment that really comes when we talk about this thing called employee engagement can lead to a 57% improvement in discretionary effort, and how that typically translates over into a 20% improvement in individual productivity. And what we do when we interact with folks is we typically challenge them to put themselves in a place where, hey, what was it like working for a good boss or a bad boss? And how much more did you contribute? And that's where we see the light bulbs come on. And we're able to map that out into how it impacts recruiting great people, how it impacts retaining great people, how that engagement really does show up in the bottom line. One of the chapters we really broke down into, hey, if it starts at the top, if our executives of an organization walk the walk and talk the talk and everything's synonymous and they lead well, not just manage effectively, they lead well, how it cascades through all the levels of the organization. So we build those things in place, and so much of it ties back to this. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I'm sitting at home on a Friday evening, just exhausted. I think I was still working a full-time job and running our business. So I'm pulling about 100 hours a week at that point. And a good friend who was a CEO of a local organization calls and says, Wes, I had a rough conversation with my board today. They tell me I need to build better relationships with my direct reports. Now, the backstory on that was that organization had grown significantly in the years that he was their CEO. The revenue was almost double under his watch and so on. But his direct reports, I knew many of them, they wanted to kill him. They were just done. And I shared with him, I said, brother, I love you, but you don't have time not, he said that touchy-feely stuff, those relationships, I don't have time for it. I said, dude, you don't have time not to pay attention to the touchy-feely stuff because you're about to be out. Now, unfortunately, he never did. And within the next 6 months, they booted him out as CEO. He's moved a couple times around the country. Wonderful person. I've hated seeing it. I don't get to see him much anymore. It's been rough on his family and so on, but it was really all because he didn't stop and take care of those things that he deemed intangible. And what we work so hard on to show executives is that cost of leadership is very measurable. It does impact your bottom line. You just need to know, one, how to look for it, and two, what behaviors, and I stress behaviors, are necessary to capture world-class results. So Gigi, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much to the Doe family. I truly appreciate both of you. Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, Wes. Thank you. Now, our next speaker is Patty Johnston. Welcome, Patty. Patty is an international leadership, procrastination, and ADHD life coach who helps overwhelmed professionals stop procrastinating in 30 days to regain their power, conquer avoidance, and achieve their maximum potential. Patty is a speaker with the John Maxwell team who struggled with procrastination for many, many years. She has had a very successful career creating multi-million-dollar businesses from scratch after she discovered how to overcome her own limitations. Welcome, Patty.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Patty Johnston, and I am a leadership coach, trainer, and speaker with the John Maxwell team. I heard people talking about John Maxwell. And I'm also a life coach and the creator of a program called How to Stop Procrastinating in 30 Days. And this is what I call the How to Stop Procrastinating in 30 Days Masterclass. And yes, we're going to be talking about procrastination, but most importantly, we're going to be talking about how to soar to success. Anyone ready here for success? Yes, ma'am, I am. So let's go. By now, you might have noticed I have an accent. So let me tell you the story of my life in 30 seconds. I was actually born in Colombia, and I was very blessed to be able to come to the United States. I came when my son was 3 years old. I was a single mom, and then I had the chance to live in London as well, in the UK for a while. I have lived in Australia for 5 years, and now I travel the world while I work at the same time. And because of my background, I have trained people from more than 30 countries from all around the world. And I have been a guest from many events. I have trained big corporations. This is the mayor of Tampa. I work with the government. I have trained solopreneurs. I have been invited to radio shows. I've been on TV many times. And people say, oh my goodness, Patty, that is so glamorous. But this is my confession. I was actually born a procrastinator. My favorite word used to be mañana. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. No, next week. Oh, no. Next year is my year. Anyone? That was the story of my life. And people ask me, well, Patty, is it that bad? Yes, it is bad because it's been proven that procrastination is the biggest enemy of success. Procrastination is the biggest enemy of success. And because we're going to be talking about procrastination, let's see what the dictionary says procrastination is. The action of delaying or postponing something. Procrastination is the action of delaying or postponing something. But most than anything, procrastination is an avoidance strategy. Avoidance of what, Patty? Procrastination is avoidance of pain. Let me explain what I mean. This used to be my cycle of procrastination. So the cycle of procrastination starts with anxiety. And you're anxious because you know exactly what to do. It's not that we don't know. We know exactly what to do, but you don't want to do it. So you're like, yes, I know I need to do this. But then you replace it with pleasure. Let me explain. I used to be in real estate. And every day I would wake up, I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to follow up with 5 potential clients. But deep inside, I was feeling a bit nervous because I didn't want to feel rejected. I didn't want people to perceive me as like, she's so pushy or not answer the phone call. So I was really not looking forward to that. So every day I would be like, okay, let me follow up with 5 people. But first, let me go to social media just for a moment. And I'm like, oh my goodness, so-and-so got married? And they didn't invite me. I cannot believe this. Let me see who went. Click. And then 1 or 2 hours later, I was looking at the profile of the grandmother who I never met in my life. So what was I doing? I was just exchanging the anxiety for pleasure. But the problem with that is after pleasure comes guilt. Oh my goodness, here we go. Another morning wasted, another week wasted, another year wasted. And that becomes an even more anxiety. So if you do this cycle over and over again, you start becoming angry. Angry at yourself. Anyone been to the cycle of procrastination? This was the story of my life. So I used to be very stressed, thinking of all the things that I had not accomplished. I was tired. I felt overwhelmed with all of the things that I needed to do. I was not doing. I felt guilty, to be honest, because I knew exactly what to do and I was still not doing it, and disappointed on my own self. So I came from a very structured family. My parents are very disciplined, very systematic. And my sister, she thinks she's perfect. But my sister's not perfect. She is almost perfect. And this is how her room used to look like when we were growing up. Mine is that this was my room. So I grew up with my parents saying, Patty, there's something wrong with you. Look at that. You're such a mess. And this was little Patty. And I was really happy until one time my dad said to me when I spilled some milk on the dinner table, he said, Patty, I don't see a future for you. I really don't know what's going to happen. You're such a mess. So I grew up thinking there was something really, really wrong with me. And on top of it all, I got pregnant when I was a teenager. And they're like, oh my goodness, you just ruined your life. So I had to work really hard to provide for my son, but I felt stuck. So I decided to study psychology just to fix myself. And I created a system that helped me overcome procrastination. And that's what allowed me to start my own company as a single mom, as an immigrant. I did really well. Opened my second company and I sold it for millions of dollars. I never thought a little girl from Colombia could see that much money all together. And then that's when people started coming to me. Let me tell you something. You know, when I sold my second company for that much money, you know what my dad said to me? My dad said, Patty, I've always believed in you. And I was like, no, Dad, you didn't. So what I did is not only I found a system, but people started asking me how to actually make it happen. So that's what I do today. I share with people my secrets of my own success on how to stop procrastinating in 30 days. So I'm going to share with you guys quickly my 3 secrets, and I'm going to tell you there is hope and there's help to overcome procrastination. So guys, ready? Secret number 0. Oh my goodness, it's a bonus secret. So secret number 0 is you need to be an honest person. What, Patty? That doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. I have so many people that come to me and they're like, oh, Patty, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Well, I'm doing okay. I just work really well under pressure, doing things at the last minute. So secret number 0, you need to be honest with yourself. You cannot change what you don't acknowledge. So here you go, secret number 0. Secret number 1, to change anything within you, you need to know why you're doing it in the first place. To change anything within you, you need to know why you're doing it in the first place. Most people think, I just can't stop procrastinating if I try hard enough, if I read books or have a calendar. But you cannot change unless you find the real reasons for procrastination. Starting with fear. Fear of failure, success, conflict, judgment, fear of the unknown. That paralyzes. Other reasons, childhood trauma. I don't know you guys, but I did not have the perfect family. And a lot of the things that I experienced growing up are still showing up as an adult. So childhood trauma, adult trauma definitely interfere with our actions. Mental disorders, ADD, I have ADD, dyslexia, I have dyslexia. Depression definitely is an action blocker. And cultural. I'm not gonna say people from Colombia like to delay things or not, but it could be a family trend. So that all are reasons for procrastination. And I don't know if you knew, but it's actually 5 types of procrastinators. So if you're one of them, or have been one of them, let me know in the chat. First, perfectionist. Oh no, not do it until it's perfect. Number 2, daredevils. Those are the ones who wait until the last very second. I had a month to do this, and when do I do it? Of course, the night before. Oh my goodness, I was the daredevil queen. The third one, the ostrich. The ostrich are the dreamers. They don't take action, but in their mind, they're doing absolutely amazing. They're avoidance. Chickens, oh, I love the chickens because they're like, Patty, I'm definitely not a procrastinator. I do a lot. I'm so busy, but this is the problem. For the chickens actually don't know how to prioritize. So they look busy, but they're not very productive. Anyone? And by the way, I was all of them before. And then last but not least, the self-saboteurs. Self-saboteurs know exactly what to do, but they don't do it, or they do exactly the opposite. So 5 types of procrastinators, everyone. I'm gonna put like the link to, if you're curious, if you're one of them at the end. So secret number 1, to change anything within you, you need to know why you're doing it in the first place. Secret number 2, you need to use the secret weapon. So we've been lied before. We were told that if we have a high IQ, intelligence quotient, then we were gonna be successful. Wrong. There's something called EQ, emotional quotient. And it's been proven that actually success, 85% of success comes from EQ, not IQ. Can you believe it? That is a lot. And actually we can develop our EQ. So if that is so important in our lives, how is it that we don't utilize it as much? That's why I call the EQ superpower. EQ superpower. So I'm going to tell you, and this is the summary of everything I do. Procrastination is not a time management issue. Procrastination is an emotional management issue. It's not a time management issue, it's an emotional management issue. And that's why in the past we've heard coaches and books, oh my goodness, buy a calendar, do a to-do list. But we're already seeing these different types of procrastinators, and each type has certain fear of judgment, fear of reality, failure, anxiety. So if somebody's procrastinating, you would say, oh, that's fine, just buy a calendar, do a to-do list. It doesn't make any sense, right? You would say, learn how to manage your emotions. That is the key on how to overcome procrastination. So that's why I say my secret number 2 is to use the EQ superpower. The old way doesn't work anymore. No more lists, no more New Year's resolutions. I had the same New Year's resolutions for like 10 years. That doesn't work. The new way is we need to stop triggers, be aware of our emotions, find our excuses, and actually command our brain. Did you know that we can command our own brain? I love neuroscience and it is possible. We don't have time to talk about this, but this is it, guys. Secret number 2, you need to use the EQ secret weapon. And last but not least, secret number 3, you need to invest in coaching. We're coaches here, so we know how important it is, because most people think, I can do it on my own. But that's not true. It's been proven that almost 50% of success comes from a community. And you have 80% more likely to be successful if you have a mentor or a coach. So it's a no-brainer. You need to invest in coaching to have knowledge and accountability, guys. This is the summary of how to stop procrastinating in 30 days. Be an honest person. Discover the real reason behind your procrastinating. Use the secret weapon, EQ superpower, and invest in coaching. This is the summary, and I'm going to tell you it works. How do I know it works? Because I've seen it over and over again. People succeeding in businesses, exercising, being successful in life. I told you I was going to be talking about success and not only procrastination. And don't forget, there's a cost of doing nothing. There's a cost of taking a step. There's a cost of taking a coach, on investing time, but there's also a bigger cost of doing nothing. So there's hope. Guys, there's hope. There's a way out to feeling stuck and in the same place forever. So don't forget, abundance comes through action. Dreams are beautiful, but if dreams stay as dreams and they have no action, there's no results. Abundance comes through action. If you want to know more, if you want to know your style of procrastination, if you want to have more knowledge about emotional intelligence, again, my name is Patty Johnston. Thank you, Gigi, for having me here. Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Wow. Thank you, Patty. I appreciate you. And oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Wow. I have to say, absolutely amazing. Thank you to all of our amazing speakers from all over the world today. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you to all of our sponsors as well. And thank you all for being here with us today. And for those that are joining us on the online platform and that may listen in to this later, thank you so much. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Now, at this time, I'll ask everyone to just close your eyes and bow your heads. I'm going to do a closing prayer here. Father God, thank you so much for bringing us here tonight. Thank you so much for bringing us together. We truly appreciate you, and we know you're in the room here with us at this time. Thank you, Father. And again, thank you all for being here with us today. Thank you again to all of our speakers and our sponsors. And God, thank you so much. Thank you. That's all I have to say. Thank you. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. God bless you and be safe. And that is the end of our event tonight. God bless you all. May you go in peace. God bless.
Thank you. God bless everyone.
Bye, everyone.